Hey comic fans, Darth Jager here with another episode of When Comics Were Great. Today we'll be talking about the original Marvel Star Wars run, published from 1977 to 1986. Issues 1 through 6 are the adaptation of the original film. Uh, Howard Chaykin does the artwork, Roy Thomas writes it. The book came out, the first issue, over there, came out a month before the movie came out, and included scenes not included in the final film, like the Anchorhead scenes with Biggs, Darklighter. And I always wondered if people read this book, and that's where we get that weird idea that people think they saw those scenes in the film when they first saw it, which, clearly they didn't, because they were never, ever in the final film. The next issues got some scenes with Jabba the Hutt when he was Jabba the Hutt with one T. The artwork starts off a little ropey in the first issue, but as the series progresses by the sixth issue, it's looking fantastic. Everything's spot on. I mean, it's what they call the soul-shattering climax of the best movie of 1977 that didn't, by the way, win Best Picture, even though it should have at the 50th Academy Awards. All I got to say to that is F. Annie Hall. Star Wars was better. Issues 7 through 10 give us the 8 Against the World arc. These issues follow Han Solo and Chewbacca as they leave the Alliance to go back and repay Jabba the Hutt, still with one T, with all the money that they got from the Rebel Alliance. Along the way, before they can pay off Jabba, they're attacked and robbed by the dread space pirate Crimson Jack, who leaves them penniless and drifting in space. The next issues get into a sort of Seven Samurai style story. The adventure has Han Solo and Chewbacca trying to save the people of Aduba 3 from the fearsome villain Sergi X Aragontus and his dreaded Cloud Riders. Issue 8 also includes the first appearance of fan favorite and George Lucas hated character Jackson, the green space rabbit. The story concludes in issue 10 with The Behemoth from Below, which has the Star Warriors battling against a giant-ass monster and saving the day in the end, obviously. This issue also happens to be the very first Star Wars comic. Well, to be honest, it's the very first comic I ever bought as a kid. I read the hell out of that book, and it remains a favorite of mine to this day. Issues 11 to 15, we have Luke Skywalker's mission to scout out potential planets to serve as a new rebel base. We also get the continuation and conclusion of the Han Solo / Crimson Jack saga. Spoiler alert for those who haven't read it, things don't work out too good for old Jack. With issue 11, a new creative team takes over the book, with Archie Goodwin scripting, and Carmine Infantino coming in as the main artist. What follows, artistically speaking, are many, many, many boffins? No, issues filled with off-model characters, spaceships, and tech, and this continues for pretty much every issue that Infantino has a hand in. What can I say? His illustrations were never my particular cup of microwave tea, but your mileage may vary. The next two books are one-shot stories, with number 16 introducing readers to Valance the Hunter, with some spectacular artwork by Walt Simonson and Bob Wycheck. And number 17, we're treated to a quaint little flashback story featuring Luke Skywalker wasting time with his friends and racing T-16 skyhoppers over the desert sands at Tatooine. In issues 18 to 23, the Star Warriors get in a dangerous adventure on a giant Imperial-controlled gambling space station known as the Wheel. This new multi-issue storyline gives fans the return of the Jedi? No, not the Jedi, of Carmine Infantino and some seriously bizarre-looking off-model characters, and whatever. At least the story was great.
Number 24 is Silent Drifting.
You mean silent running, don't you?
No, Silent Drifting, not Silent Running, not the Bruce Dern movie. Anyways, it's another one-shot flashback story featuring Obi-Wan Kenobi that takes place during the Clone Wars, before any of us knew what they were. An era that, at the time, only our rich childhood imaginations could fill in or even imagine in the slightest. Issues 25 to 32 bring us back to the main story, and it's a doozy. The Empire is finally caught up with the Rebel Alliance as they're preparing to evacuate Yavin's fourth moon.
What took them so long?
Nobody knows. But now they're pinned down with little chance of escape. The storyline also introduces us to a character that'll become a long term antagonist for our Star Warrior heroes, especially Luke Skywalker, the ridiculously costumed Baron Ormond Tagg. And yes, he is the brother of General Tagg, who met his demise when Luke blew up the Death Star. It's one of my favorite story arcs, really, of the first few years of the book. Gives us the return of Valance, the cyborg bounty hunter, and years before we would see it in Return of the Jedi, Luke's homecoming to the desert planet of Tatooine, where he helps uncover the prototype of a new Imperial superweapon. In 33 and 34, Baron Tagg catches up with Luke and engages him in a lightsaber duel for the ages that ends in spectacular a draw, really, and Luke slices the Baron's cybervision goggles in two. But hey, Luke escapes in a TIE fighter and crashes it onto an asteroid when attempting to warn the Rebel fleet about the Tagg family superweapon, the Omega Frost trademark. 35, Dark Lord's Gambit. Darth Vader chokes his way through enough rebels that one finally gives up the name of the pilot who destroyed the Death Star. His son, even though we, the audience, had no idea about that little twist at the time, Luke Skywalker. And in a dark, overly complex, fourth dimensional chess like move, Vader utilizes Baron Tagg and his sister Domina in a plot that runs through issue 36 and concludes in 37 with a tremendous lightsaber duel to the death. The last page of issue 37 gives us the encounter with the bounty hunter we ran into on Ord Mantell, and states quite plainly at the bottom of the page, "Next, the most eagerly awaited saga of them all begins! Marvel's adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back." But then it doesn't, because issue 38 is another one-shot story, an extremely offbeat, almost psychedelic adventure, beautifully illustrated by Michael Golden. It's called Riders in the Void.
Riders in the void, down, 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 down. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown.
The next issue is finally the beginning of Marvel's outstanding adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back. But that's all for this episode of When Comics Were Great. If you enjoyed it, please tune into part 2 of this 3-part series on Marvel Star Wars, when we'll be talking about issues 39 to 76. So until then, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video around, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.
There's a trooper on the road. His dewback squirming like a toad. Take a long holiday. Let the Jawas play. If the empire you defy, sweet family will die. Trooper on the road.